What's going on, guys? I hope you all are doing well this afternoon. Just been wanting to look at the Bitcoin charts as of late. Usually now I don't really look at the charts until I'm actually doing this. So, yeah, going through like a fresh perspective with you guys this time. All right, so I'm going to get into the daily chart with y'all. I'm going to begin here with the market cipher B indicator. We got a sell signal yesterday, and we're still following through. Money flow is still, I would say, stagnant, pretty much. Yeah, it's slightly higher lows at this time, but there's still momentum that needs to come down and really start playing around with the bottom end of this zone. I don't like it in regards to overall positioning in regards to the momentum waves, to be honest. All right, so now I'm going to go with the TSI. So the TSI is still, the slow moving TSI is still in the blue, but as you can see, the faster moving TSI is still yellow, which is a warning sign in regards to a potential move to the downside. Now keep in mind, we haven't touched the top side like in these previous instances over here. We know right here and right here where the actual TSI, fast moving TSI tagged this top side over bot zone. We haven't gotten to that point just yet, so I'm not necessarily going to call it that it's the top, but also it doesn't necessarily have to mean that it has to go up there as well. So I'm keeping my eyes for the next day or two. Will this momentum continue to the downside, and will we start printing a red TSI slow moving average? So that's what I'm focusing in on. Hasn't happened yet, but going to the Heikin-Ashi candles, just to more so zone in. Like I said in the past, we have broken out of this rising channel here. Now it's interesting because the momentum waves, I'm sorry, the Heikin-Ashi candles here, this is a red candle. This is a bearish candle, but now as you can see, there is a wick to the top indicating weakness. Now, it doesn't mean that it's completely weak, but what's kind of interesting to me is that um, the EMAs are actually going from red to blue at this point. I actually started going red to blue literally today, so that's interesting to see. There's still 2 hours left on the clock, but as far as actual developments are concerned, this is interesting because usually when the EMAs go from resistance to support, we usually get a reaction out of it. But now, at this time, as you can see, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of just bearishness. It's been gradual downside, but yeah, you can't really give it to the bulls until they really show some maybe like a bullish engulfing candle in the daily at some point. Still below key resistances at 24.194. As long as we're below that line, on the daily, I mean, I can't foresee us going to 26.2 nor 27.6 or anything like that. We're most likely gonna test down here as opposed to up here, as long as 24.2 essentially is still maintaining its resistance line. All right, so let me go to the other indicators here. I'm going to go with the MACD. So the MACD is still continuing with that downside momentum. So that's something to be very concerned about if you are a bull or if you're in a long position. As you can see from the past experiences, usually like kind of goes off. You got like 1, 2, 3 waves, kind of like what we had here. We actually had a fourth wave here, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after those waves, we get days of just, bearishness. So far we've had a week, I would say like non-substantial 5 days of bearishness. But when we get down here, it just gets a little bit more incremental. So I'm very concerned of seeing that. But also, I will have some hope if momentum actually does something like this, where yes, it's kind of gone up like that, but if we're able to break that trend of just down only, we can then have that higher low instance, And at that point, I'd feel way better about actually initiating macro swing longs, more so like positions that I'm just buying spot, hold it for a week or two, or maybe even a month or two, and a month or two later I sell, yeah, for a substantial gain. Very passive. I don't have to manage the trade. It's just super easy to just handle at that point. So that's why I like the daily, just to dollar cost average, find the bottoms and stuff like that. So um, when you can invest in these bottom zones, you can just passively purchase whatever asset you want, just ride it up for a couple of months, and there you go, or a couple of weeks, depending on the market sentiment. Frankly, it would be weeks since we are in a bear market. Very risky if you're doing leverage trading. People do it, but at the end of the day, like you're all big boys and girls, so you make your own decisions. Okay. Anyway, going back to it, TSI. So as long as price is below 23.147, we can expect to experience more downside. Same thing with the other TSI. The slow moving average is still support at this time, so I got to see a reaction on the daily to confirm it. Now, what's interesting, because I'm going from slow lagging indicators to like mid-grade speed indicators, so the MACD-X is showing a sell signal, which is really concerning, right after a confirmed bearish divergence. So that to me is a huge warning sign, frankly, not good. But, as you can see from the past, I think it was, well, not on the daily. I think it was more so on the 4-hour. Well, we did have one fake out here, so fake outs do happen. They're less common on the daily, I'll be honest with you. This was an anomaly, and it also happened on the weekend, I believe. So, yeah, like these sell signals, especially on the daily, are just way more credible. So I'm kind of bracing for impact at this point. We did get a cross down. That's very unfortunate. There's still 2 hours left, obviously, to confirm, but we did get a cross down, so insinuating maybe another day or two of bearish price action to me. But keep in mind, though, if this higher low instance is broken, or we actually create a lower low, for example, then I would, sell my spot positions and kind of just, wait it out, frankly. Because I mean, if the RSI goes back into the bearish control zone, I mean, it can get real nasty because if you go back to the price here, um, that means we're most likely, flirting with the price supply line here. And it's held support. I mean, it broke for a day and then the next day it pumped back up. But for the most part, and it's more visible in the 4-hour on how effective this supply line has been. Um, but yeah, like as supports continue to get tested, they just get weaker, weaker, and weaker. So in regards to what I'm seeing here, if the RSI does break back into the bearish control zone, then I'm gonna have to assume that that support won't necessarily hold up like it's had for the past 2 months. Okay, so we as the MACD-X, the TMA on the daily had confirmed a bearish divergence. And as you can see, we are heading back closer to the point of control, which is the 50. So when TMA is above the 50, that just means that bulls are it's in favor of the bulls. But if this TMA breaks back down, creates a lower low, just like the RSI, then it's not going to be pretty, frankly. But we'll see. It's not completely over. All right, so I'm going to go to the 4-hour here, and let's go with the market cipher indicator. All right, so we did get a buy signal here, but as you can see, the money flow is still thick in the red, and also the VWAP, which is the volume weighted average price indicator, this yellow line, is pointing down. Usually when it starts pointing down, that just means continuation to the downside until further notice. Now, I am seeing a support. Indicator right here. My support resistance indicator is printing support at 22.624, but what I've come to realize with this particular tool, when I see a support build up right after price has broken under the EMAs, the likelihood of this being just a dead cat bounce is significantly high. And as you can see on the 9 EMA, price tried to pump above the 9 EMA, the 100 EMA, the 21 EMA, and was just unsuccessful. As you can see, price has confirmed the 9 EMA as resistance. And not only that, but it's graduated to the 21 being resistance, the 100 EMA as resistance, and that's just not strong, frankly. I would have to see some more developments in support and resistance. And as you can see, the Heikin-Ashi is showing temporary support, but there's no true support on the Japanese candles at this time. So I'm going to have to, call bearishness and up until this point, frankly, because as you can see, we are closer to resistance than we are to, support. So I'm still leaning bearish. Okay, let me go to the TSI. So the TSI recently just crossed the zero line down. As you can see, the bottom is starting to print a little bit of green. But usually, from my experience with this particular indicator, when it prints green, it usually just like loses its momentum and then it goes back to gray. And I like to take these times into consideration and kind of see them as potential opportunities to position for better shorting entries, because we are kind of like in that dead cat bounce phase. But yeah, I could show you why it's not necessarily a great time to do that just now. It's better to get better entries, if you will. So there could be some scalping opportunities if you're interested, not financial advice, of course. But let me see here. Okay, I'm going to move on. So what's interesting here is it's kind of a little bipolar because we have the MACD, slow moving average, and the MACD itself or whatever, cross below the zero line, which is bearish. But as you can see from this wave here, we are seeing waning sell-off. We are seeing the sell-off kind of dissipate a little bit. But are we kind of repeating what happened here, where we had we had a wave, but then we had another wave, or we had another wave, or are we going to be experiencing something like this, where it's just like a clean cut dump to the downside, consolidation, and then we kind of like recalibrate and move forward? That's to be determined at this time regarding the 4-hour instance. Now, the TSI is a little bit more clear, so as long as price is below 2,366, basically $23,066, we can expect price to continue to the downside. Now with the MACDX, we are actually negative. We are in the negative zone here. No buy signal, no nothing at this time. There could be a potential curve, but at this time you have to respect the bears in regards to advancing the initiative to the downside. Another thing, so excuse me, the RSI actually is in the bearish control zone. It's trying to make an attempt outside of it, but keep in mind that the slow moving average is resistance now. So it's going to test it right now. I mean, there could be a cross and a higher, low instance at this time, but that is not, that's more so the lesser probability. The higher probability is that the RSI will bounce or get rejected off of the slow moving average until a cross confirmation, which we won't see that maybe for another 4 to 8 to 12 hours, frankly. So yeah. Okay, so let me go with the TMA. So the TMA is kind of painting a clearer picture. So when the TMA crosses the slow moving average, it eventually comes back up here and retests it as resistance. We haven't had that yet at all, and I think we might actually be experiencing that at this time, where the TMA is actually trying to grind to the upside, but it has yet to even test the slow moving average as resistance. So like I said before, me in particular, I closed my short already, and I'm really kind of considering, okay, well, will the RSI cross here on the 4-hour? Will this be a fake out and the TMA breaks above the 0 line? I don't necessarily believe so. Given that the TMA is pretty consistent, as you can see, when it breaks down initially, it taps it as resistance and kind of comes back down and tests these. So I'm more in the camp that price will eventually kind of like pump a little bit to the upside, kind of like be choppy, and eventually will reveal that it'll get continuous rejection off of key exponential moving averages and the RSI and the TMA, and essentially others will kind of correlate to the same direction, and then we'll just probably continue to the downside. That's my base case at this time, but obviously this is incomplete data. Frankly, I think like maybe within the next 8 hours we'll get a better picture as to the direction. But overall, I mean, it's pretty clear cut. The price is below key EMAs, but where's the bounce? We've yet to really touch 22.5. We've yet to tag 22.1, in my opinion, where there's a lot of people trying to buy this asset at. Also, here's a key level here at 2 at 21.6. So it's just kind of a wonky spot to see a reversal, frankly, given that the 9 EMA is currently crossing down below the 100 EMA. So it's not really good. And obviously, this last candle in the 4 hours a telltale sign. This tall wick one. Basically, the bulls were trying to push price, but ultimately the bears just like opened up just gnarly short positions, or they just sold on them. And now it's just confirming this as continuation of a break of the original trend for the past couple of days. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the 1 hour time frame here. Okay, what do I see on the 1 hour? Okay, so we got a sell signal actually 1, 2, 3 hours ago, and yeah, it looks like it's playing out, frankly. Money flow is expanding to the downside. Yeah, there was an attempt here. So we did have an attempt right here. We had a bullish engulfing candle, but finally price was able to take out 22.971. As you can see, there is this line of support here that is trying its best to like flip the narrative, if you will. So it's kind of interesting to see at this time. So I had drawn this line yesterday. I'll do it again here because it did break, which is why I closed my short here, because I saw, I think it was around here. Yeah, because there's like a fake out. There you go. Yeah, there was like a fake out right here. Okay. But yeah, when I saw this bullish engulfing candle right here, I closed my long here. I'm sorry, my short, and I'm kind of just like watching what happens, because we have a support line here at 22.972, but also we are still consistently printing lower highs at this time, and I just don't think that's conducive to strength from the bull's case. So going back to the market cipher indicator, as you can see, the money flow is still pointing to the downside. We've got a recent sell signal, but also we are seeing some kind of like bipolarish nature. We do have some support here that's trying to sustain itself. The EMAs are red as well, so that's not good at all. We would honestly have to take out 23.8 as like the local top to initiate some strength for the bulls to actually finally break above this particular zone. I don't think this zone is done yet in regards to being resistance. We could just be chopping and bouncing between this, this right here, support and resistance zone. That could be what's going on here. But yeah, let me go to the TSI here, because the TSI is showing some interesting stuff. Okay, so let me show you. I drew this yesterday and I deleted it, but I want to show you. So there's this support, there's this resistance here that was recently broken out as support, which is great. This is what I wanted to see in regards to longs, but I want to see something else. I want to see this come down and actually back test it as support and then continue on, because it hasn't necessarily done that. It kind of, this to me right here, this action right here on the TSI wasn't good enough for me to classify it as a true reversal. If anything, it just looked like the bears were really having at it, and yeah, finally the bulls were able to break through this resistance. But I want to see a back test of this as support at some point, even if we have to say, you know, like come this way and then do something like that and then continue. That would be, in my opinion, a better indication of a trend reversal. This breakout's nice, but as you can see, it's getting rejected off of the zero line, and I mean this could be the ultimate reversal point until it creates a lower low. So that's kind of like where my mind is at. But well, it's kind of like a wait and see, because we are kind of like in limbo town at this time. Um, okay, so we are in an interesting situation on the 1 hour, because as you can see, the histogram is essentially losing steam in regards to the bullish case, because you see the bars going from teal to yellow. But as you can see, we are getting an inflection point where the MACD is actually heading closer to the zero line. And as I said before, the zero line is a notorious fake out zone. So we're going to see essentially expansion and volatility at this time. So it's going to get really wacky, in my opinion, if it hasn't gone wacky already. Now on the 1 hour here, as long as price is above 22.957, we are heading to the upside. So what does that look like here? Now I'm going to turn this green, and then I'm going to type in the coordinates to match what it says there. 22.957? Okay. Oof, wait, I missed the 2. 57? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Wow, it's cutting it real close. As you can see, it's real near the support and resistance line that I got. Interesting. There could be an eventual move to the upside. Now, I'd still might consider this a dead cat bounce for various reasons, because the ultimate high for this particular local top is 24.577. So as long as that's the top, we are technically in a downtrend. So that's where my base case is at. But as you can see, we're very close to an inflection point where, yeah, if we have a couple hourly candle closes above 22.957, we can actually see a true reversal. And I mean, I can see the 9 EMA trying to get flipped as support right now, as is the 21 EMA. So that's kind of interesting to see in real time. On the 1 hour here, oh wait, did I skip? I skipped, yeah, I skipped the MACDX. Okay, so the MACDX did show some bullish divergences, and this bullish divergence actually did end up playing out. Yes, the faster moving average is kind of like consolidating and like losing steam, but the slow moving average is slowly grinding to the upside, so that's kind of promising. That's kind of interesting. Let me show you this trend here. It's a subtle trend, so that's cool. I mean, we could see something where the fast moving average is actually going to come back down, and we could do something like that. That would be a better scenario in finding a long position. But honestly, in regards to a long position, I want to see a higher low instance. Is this the higher low that we are looking for? Potentially. Yeah, I would consider it that, this particular line right there, as this little trend line. If this little trend line can actually sustain itself and kind of validate as support, then I would kind of see that maybe the next test, maybe open up a long or something, if it in fact does hold. That has yet to be determined. Okay, so actually, I think I skipped the, no, actually, no, I didn't. Alrighty, so conclusion is we did break out of this trend here. I would feel much better. Well, it did get a back test here, actually. It got back tested as support right here. And price is starting to get more comfortable. So I definitely want to see a continuation of higher lows. Now, in my opinion, I would love to see a trigger wave on the 1 hour. Now, what does a trigger wave look like? A trigger wave would look like this. Obviously, we had this kind of like grinding slope up, and we kind of had a pump to the upside. Now, if it comes down and it prints a smaller wave than the previous, and it gives us a little green dot right here, and we have this obvious trend slope, then I would feel much better opening up a long entry. Because that to me would imply that we might actually have enough power to finally break 24.1. That's a stretch, frankly. To be honest, we haven't fulfilled the measured move um, of this head and shoulders pattern here, and I think it was, yeah, this is the measured move. Now technically it's actually red because it's a bear move, but whatever. Okay, so yeah, that's the measured move. Well, you could argue that we kind of underperformed and we hit the bottom of it, but I'm just not necessarily convinced at this point. Um, I'm still in the mode that yeah, this might come down a little bit more. And honestly, if we see some divergence here, like a lower low, but we also see of a smaller wave, where we have a trigger wave here, that would look really good in my opinion of opening up a fresh long. But at this time, I'm still in the wait and see mode. I still have some inklings that we might head down a little bit lower before we actually see true support kind of form. And yeah, but anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Um, as you can see in the more higher moving averages here, the 3 hours the EMAs are starting to go red. The 2 hours pretty definitive in its red zone here. The 4 hour has yet to, but the price is below the EMAs. So I have to lean bearish still. I'm still pretty bearish, not gonna lie. Um, in regards to that talk where I was like, oh hey, well if that happens, like a long, it wouldn't be something to hold, honestly. Like if that theoretical long position, not financial advice, but if I do see higher lows continuing, I mean you could do a scalp long, like you hold it for a few hours, you kind of maybe ride it up until you see uh maybe like a back test of like 23.5. Um, but they might not even get there, honestly, because this, if you look at the top side here, this was technically not taken out. And this candle close is actually lower than that one, so we're still technically in lower high territory. So it's really risky to even consider a long at this point. From my perspective, um, I do expect maybe a little bit of pump action here, but ultimately maybe even like creating a bear flag. This is just theoretical, but this could be a bear flag to the downside. Or it could be a rising wedge and it comes back down to 22.7. But honestly, this looks more like a bear flag, or a very premature bear flag. So I'm sticking to my guns. I got to be bearish here. Now, the scalp long, that's looking less attractive to me right now, frankly. I want to see more so this play out. If it's true that it's a bear flag and we see a breakout, it looks more understandable in the 1 hour. Yeah, if we do see a break above, so if we see price action kind of like play around here, and it breaks out, and then we see that break below 22.9. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be super bearish. I'm most likely open another short, but yeah, I gotta see price kind of figure stuff out before I even make a move. Because I mean, you never know, price could actually break above here and then, you know, play up here. But as you can see, the opportunities for longs are super tight. You got to be super good with your entries. Because we're just so close to resistance, that is one of the main reasons as to why I'm more so looking for top sides to actually be shorting positions at this time. Yeah, it's gonna take some patience, but I honestly, that's where my mindset is at. Okay, I'm gonna close it out. I've been rambling on for too long. If you are still here, thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping by, and just I want to say, yeah, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate the positivity that you guys are, you know, sharing with me via, like, you know, Messenger and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, if you haven't liked this, please like the video, share it with your friends. Also, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Are we going to dump to the downside? Are we going to pump to the upside? Yeah, let me know in the comment section. I would love to, you know, hear y'all's opinions. But yeah, have a great rest of the day and have a good night and see you tomorrow. Peace out. Bye.